Hello everybody, this is Preetham. Welcome to a short tutorial on using Adobe Photoshop to label some of the crack images. To start with, I have a folder full of crack images. So from experiment 1 to 5, most of the crack images are all very dark in color, meaning like they're almost pitch black in color. So we can speed up the process of labeling these images by using some of the cool tools in Adobe Photoshop. I'll come to that in a few minutes. And totally in all these 14 folders, there are about 185 images. Just from the top 5 folders, that is experiment 1 through experiment number 5, there are about like 108 images. So 185 minus 108, that comes around like 77 images. So the rest of the like 9 folders consist of 77 images. These 9 folders are full of the real crack images, meaning like they were taken from a real site. So the first 5 images are like a man-made or man-drawn artificial crack images. Okay, so to start with, let's get going with Adobe Photoshop. So let it run in the back, and in the meantime, for each and every folders, first copy all these images, create a folder called label, and paste them. Something went wrong, let me see. So we have these images, copy, paste them. Okay, so the reason for doing this is, let's have a backup copy of these images. There will be a backup copy on the cloud, but still, just to make things easy, so I'm just creating one copy of these images. So let's open the first image using Adobe Photoshop. Open with Adobe Photoshop. So if we zoom in, we see here these black objects are artificially drawn cracks. Okay, so the goal of first 5 folder is to label these images. When I say labeling, we create a mask of different color. For example, it could be a red or green or blue color depending on the background, and these masks could be extracted using our custom developed software to extract these pixels. Okay, so there are a few approaches to start with labeling. First approach is to use some of the quick selection tool like magic wand tool or quick selection tool on Adobe Photoshop. Suppose if I select this, you see this region has been selected, and hold shift button, you can select everything. I won't recommend doing magic wand if you have a pretty clean image with some nice background. Then we could have used magic wand. Sometimes you see here there are some issues with the labeling. This region is not labeled properly or selected properly. So what I would do is I would choose another method, Control Z. Let's unselect that. The another method is magic wand tool, sorry, the quick selection tool. Once you do the quick selection tool, make sure to select a brush size, maybe around like 10 or 14 pixels should be good. Okay, and make sure the hardness is 100%, and the spacing between the brushes is around like 4% or less than 5%. Okay, so then when I zoom these image, when I select them, there is no shift button here. So you see we have selected, but there are some false positives. So I'll Control Z. That's because of the size of the selection brush. So we'll select 6 pixels. 6 pixels is more or less, it works well for everything. Just one moment, I'll start everything from beginning. Make sure to select smaller pixel size. Now it has been selected. Now I come to this part, I'll select this. So the region has been selected within few clicks. And we'll go to edit, fill, color, select the color. We'll make sure the R is, we'll select the RGB triplets, and R is 255, the rest is 0. If you have some reddish background, then choose green. And if you have some greenish background, then choose blue, and so on. Okay. Select OK. Then mode is normal, opacity is 100. It's already been done. Okay. Now save this image. Quality is 12 or maximum, and baseline is standard. Save this image. Okay. So we are done with this image. So this is one way, one approach, easy approach. And let's go with another approach where we also use brush and quick selection tool. So we'll choose experiment number 5. As I said before, copy these images, create a folder called labeled, paste. Let's see which images are good and bad. As you see, okay, this is a nice example, or probably this is doable. This is a nice example here. Okay, why this is a nice example? As you see here, this tiny thing written here is a crack, and this is also a crack. Okay, so let's get started with Adobe. Open with Photoshop. So now we have this image. When we zoom in and when we try to select the quick selection tool using some small pixel size, you see here, it's quite difficult to select them. So in this case, Control Z, 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 it's better to draw using a pencil tool. So here is a pencil tool. Mode is normal. Let's select the pixel size as 2, hardness 100, opacity 100, smoothing 10%, and the angle is 0. Okay. If you have bigger cracks where you need to choose bigger pencil size, you can use different sizes. So I'll keep 2 pixel for now. The crack starts from here. You need to be a little careful while drawing this. You need to know where the crack starts. So I don't use Photoshop quite often, so that's why my crack lines are a little bit difficult to track. I don't have a good experience on this. So probably you can start with some part and you can stop and you can continue from there, and you can stop. Okay. So now I repeat the same thing here. Again, here it starts. I'll draw all this thing here. Now I'll try to use a quick selection tool, if it works or not. It still has some issues. As we see here, it's selecting some false positives. Maybe I'll select 3 pixels to see if I can get this region. Again, it's not doing a good job. Control Z, Z. I'll switch back to the pencil tool. If there is a case something similar to this, I would suggest to use the pencil tool. I have not done a good job here because like even these pixel corresponds to cracks and so on. Okay, and similarly here. Oh, sorry. Similarly here and these pixels too. Okay. Now I have labeled all of these pixels as you have thought. Now I'll go back to the quick selection tool. I'll select all this pixel, all this pixels, and also probably I'll select these pixels. Now the procedure is same. Go to edit or shift plus F5 to fill, and this is all already been set. It's done. Okay. So now Control S, quality maximum or 12, baseline standard. Okay. All right. So this is the nice way to use Adobe Photoshop to label these images. Now I'll close these images and I'll give you some tips and tricks to deal with the original or the actual crack images. So just one moment, I have a call. Hello. Yeah, just give me a moment. I'll be there. Yeah. Sorry, I'm back. So now let's see the last 9 folders. If you go to Pritham Do folder, here is a crack image. So this is a real crack image. As you see, there is a shadow here, but the crack ranges from here all the way to here. So you need to be careful while labeling these images. And similarly, it follows here too, and all other regions. So it doesn't mean that all the dark regions are only cracks. This happened because of the shadow here, but the crack region starts from here to here. And to give few examples, this is a crack, this is a tiny crack here, and this is the crack region. And we'll go to test set 1. So these are the crack images of asphalt or pavement surface. So these are all the cracks which needs to be labeled pixel wise. Just be careful while labeling them pixel by pixel. So if we have error of 1 pixel, that's fine, but not more than 1 or 2 pixels. If we go to test set 2, so these regions are all cracks. This is not a crack actually, and this is a crack here, and this line is not a crack. Only these regions are cracks. To give a few more examples, similarly it follows the same argument. These regions are all cracks, and this is a crack, and this is also a crack here. Okay, and the next thing is, let's try to see few samples from test 1 to 5. So these are the concrete surfaces. This is a crack by all means, and this is a tiny crack which runs through here, and similarly this is a network of cracks. And the same argument follows here also. These are all crack images. The dark regions are pretty easy to pick. And let's see the test set 03. Yeah, these are all the crack images. We might wonder, there are some debris inside, but still they are all crack images. For example, if this is a crack, the crack starts here. I mean, it starts from the top, it ends here. Then this is a crack, and it runs through like this. Okay, and this line is not a crack. And lastly, we'll see this test 01. I'll take one sample here. This line is a crack here, and this is a crack image where we can clearly use object selection or magic wand tool. So it depends on your discretion if you want to use it or not, or if brush makes more sense, then I would suggest to use the brush method. Or if you are an expert in Photoshop, if you know how to use multiple images and to select multiple images at the same time, that's also well and good to label them. But here I have just shown a method where we choose one image at a time. So hope this small tutorial helps you to get started to label these images. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me or Alai. Thank you.